It's this guy, Greg
Well,
Garza.
what's up? Long time no chat, man.
No, it's good to see you. And I know that you have been running around this and every other planet known to mankind. What has it been the last couple of weeks for Globetrotter Greg Garza?
Just traveling, seeing friends, visiting people. Obviously, seeing kids. Just working along as always, man.
When you get to drift into these situations and you get to catch up when mentoring and friends and things like that, I think it gives you the opportunity to kind of see, because we get caught in our bubbles and there's only so much that we can take in our lives when we're working in offices and we're working in studios. You get those opportunities to drift out and you get to sit there and see how things are in the outside world. And I think that what you were doing, and I wanted to talk about this, it's like you're getting to see kids at Walton High School. Raider Valley got to catch up with Beyond Goals and things like that. There's nothing better than, as much as we do virtual these days, there's nothing better than being right there in front of someone to give them that feedback face to face.
Most definitely, right? I'm definitely a handshake type of person, face to face, eye to eye. Having those in depth conversations is something that means a lot. I think to all mentors and to all, whether it's teachers or coaches. It's been a blessing to have the opportunity to travel and also see a lot of our mentees in person, whether they be from Portland, New York City, California, Dallas, Florida. It doesn't matter. It was funny. A couple of weeks ago, I had a player who plays for the Portland Twos and is currently at the under 17 qualifying with the U.S. national team. And I was in the airport, and I just happened to send him a message to catch up, and he was connecting through Atlanta. So just hopped on the train, got to go see him in another terminal while I was waiting for my flight, and that was the first time we met in person. And that just that says a lot of the multitude of sessions that we had online, but to kind of really build that bond and relationship even more, and kind of meet that kid in person. I think it meant that much more to him, and kind of creating that impact of even just seeing me in person and saying, holy crap, man, you're a lot smaller than I imagined. How did you play professional for 13 years? But just the little things, that mean that much more to a lot of these kids. So it's an honor to do so, and to continue to, kind of spread that word, spread that knowledge, spread that wisdom.
So interaction is different in person than it is virtually.
I would say you are able to really get out of virtual conversations. I believe so, because you're still connecting, you're still creating that personalized bond, that personalized relationship, that intimate. That I always say with every mentee that we have, it's always an open book relationship, and it's an open book conversation. In today's world, kids are behind a screen more than they want to talk, more than they want to talk in person. So there are many mentees that I have, or that I'm sure Mike has as well, and that we have in general, that are able to share so much with us over an email that they write us, or over a text message. Unfortunately, we don't have TikTok and Snapchat and all these things that these kids have nowadays, or Be Real, or whatever it may be.
Exactly.
But there are some ways that they are to really connect and kind of explain to us what they are feeling, or the frustrations that they're going through, or those sentiments that they have regarding certain situations. And I think sometimes virtually is a great way to start off with them, because it allows them to kind of be behind a screen and kind of gain that confidence to speak, rather than with a lot of the kids that we have, that first in person can be somewhat intimidating for them, to where they don't want to say much at all, and they kind of just sit back and listen. And then if you get them behind a screen, they're able to open up a little more. So it's a mix and match of just different kids. And that's the cool thing about mentoring, is that every kid is completely different. Every kid thinks differently. Every kid thinks about self-acceptance differently. Every kid thinks about pressure differently. So it's fun for us to learn as well.
I was going to ask you, and you mentioned it. So obviously, you've been reading my notes this morning. When it comes to interactions, when you get that first in-person interaction, there is that element of shyness, and oh crap, Greg Garza is standing in front of me, or oh crap, Michael Parkhurst is standing in front of me, or oh crap, they're both standing in front of me. and you get intimidated by the fact that, man, there's someone who's been a professional athlete, represented his country, those kinds of things. And I'm standing next to them and they kind of get stuck it's like they're stuck in their environment and they forget why they're there almost. And then that opportunity goes away. And so you get that virtual element coming in behind to help out in that regard. Do you see kids still intimidated a whole lot when you guys first show up?
I would say quite a bit. I would say the younger kids most definitely, because and a lot of the younger kids don't even really realize or remember who we are, right?
Okay.
But I think just the fact that they have a professional or someone who played professionally in front of them kind of makes them think a little bit differently. Whereas with a lot of the older kids that we work with, I feel that most of them are very determined of exactly what they want out of life, whether it is to try and pursue to be a professional athlete or to use soccer to reach the highest level that they can and use it for something else, whether it be an education or whatever it may be. But you get a multitude of times, a handful of times, to where a lot of kids do feel that intimidation. They do feel that nervousness and kind of that pressure to kind of explain or say what's going on. And sometimes that's what the benefit is of having the parent nearby, or having the mom or dad kind of to the side to kind of help them explain or help them share something that's been on their mind for quite some time.
Is there one question that you guys are asked the most in these mentee situations, whether it's the town hall, whether you're in person or in the one-on-ones virtual? Is there one question that you're asked more than the others right now?
I would say criticism is a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
How to receive criticism, how to understand what criticism is, whether it be constructive or sometimes just getting yelled at. And it can come from the parent, the coach, whoever's kind of guiding that kid in particular. But criticism is a big one, and then obviously preparation before game. What do you do? What do you do to get the nerves away? What do you do to kind of get through that pressured moment? And we've spoken a lot about it, even between us, is just kind of helping those kids understand why they're there, the opportunity that's in front of them, the challenges that they'll face, and to kind of embrace and cherish those opportunities that are right there, and kind of live in the power of now rather than think of what will be after.
Is there a question that you'd like to be asked that hasn't really come up a whole lot these days?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because
I guess
I'm sure that there are topics that you'd like to talk about, and you're waiting for that trigger, you're waiting for that moment or that activation from your mentee, and the moment goes away, and you're thinking that this might be the opening for that particular topic, and then the moment goes, and then you kind of both forget about it, and then
yeah.
you cycle back whenever.
I think when I get when I get the goosebumps the most of whenever I'm speaking to my mentees, is really when it's trying to help that kid find motivation.
Right.
That for me is, I think, what I'm most passionate about. Helping that kid feel motivated towards whatever it may be,
Mm-hmm.
whether it is the game, whether it is school, whether it is life in general. Because at the end of the day, we know kids deal with so much emotional stress and so much external pressure or peer pressure or all of these different things that they're going through, within hormones building up or understanding what life is, and I think we've all been through that as teenagers, as young adults. You're trying to kind of figure out your own identity, right? Whether it be on the field or whether it be in school, whether it be in life in general. And I think my most passionate moments, and obviously I love working with players in general, just to understand the game and speak around the game. But I would say my most passionate moments are really trying to help those kids feel motivated towards what's in front of them. And when you see a kid down, a great example, I had a kid the other day that was you could just tell from the very get-go that was just struggling mentally, right? And not necessarily has to do with anything with soccer. You could just tell from the very beginning that kid was just struggling in general, right? Had no confidence towards himself whatsoever, no motivation towards anything. and kind of giving those kids some examples, and giving that kid in particular some examples of my life in general, of the ups and downs, of kind of why to feel grateful for what's in front of you, how to motivate yourself, how to continue to dream towards what you truly want in life. And then at the end of it, to get that kid to smile and get that kid to, kind of laugh about certain things, whether it be a clowny joke that I make or whatever it might be, and kind of reference it. But those are my most passionate moments, that I can say, okay, um, I get a text message from that mom 15 minutes after the conversation and say, thank you so much. Because he's been struggling the past couple of weeks, or he hasn't been, himself the past couple of weeks, and him coming off that and sitting down at the dinner table and being lively and being open and kind of being a brighter person. Those are the moments that I think that obviously are the most gratifying moments in what we do.
Because there's nothing better, I think, than being able to be a part of lifting someone up, no matter where we do it and how we do it. You and Michael and any mentor have those opportunities to sit there and put your arm around somebody that you can sit there and see, for whatever reason they're struggling. Could be athletic, could be academic, could be just, life. And you put your arm around them and you kind of break everything down. It's like, it's going to be okay. Just, you got this. And I don't think enough young people, really, I don't think a lot of us get enough of that "you got this" from those that are in our circle these days. I think that that's sorely missing, and I think that when you and Mike get the chance to do that, you're telling us about those kind of dividends.
Most definitely. I think for us, being, you said it, being someone that can be in a kid's corner, or just an adult's corner, or whatever it may be possible, just to kind of push them forward and push them towards whatever it might be that they're trying to accomplish, or whatever it might be that they're going through. Um, we can only hear so much from our parents, right? We can only hear so much from our parents, whether it be a very high expectation that we have from them, or continuous and constant support that we have from them. And those constant voices, sometimes kind of become more distant as you continue to hear them. And sometimes having someone else that can provide a little bit more of an impact, or kind of tell you, hey, I've been there, done that, or I've kind of been through the same trials and tribulations, and this is what came off of it, can kind of give that person an extra piece of motivation to kind of guide themselves by.
And it's that different perspective, because sometimes if we hear the same voices telling us the same things, no matter if it's positive and how positive it is, sometimes the message gets lost because you're still hearing the same thing over and over again from the same source. To hear that information from a different source, even if the information is still the same, of "you got this," and it's coming from outside your normal circle, that can be just as impactful, or even more so, because you're catching it from outside your normal listening pattern.
Most definitely, most definitely. I mean, you hit it on the nail right there. That's so true. There's so many kids that just need that extra voice, or that external voice to kind of help them get through of whatever they're going through.
When you look at everything these days, I know that your expectation levels, when we talk about expectation levels, and your expectation levels of yourself, I know, are very, very high when it comes to mentoring. How difficult is it for you as a mentor, knowing what you'd like to accomplish, knowing what the messaging that you want to get out? How difficult is it for you to, I don't want to say temper expectations, but at the same time sit there and it's like, I hit a home run today. I want to hit a home run every day, but you might not be able to do that. What's that? What is that mindset and that processing like for you about doing your best? And sometimes it might not be the best that it was the previous day before.
That's a great question. There are a lot of ups and downs, right? That's what life is all about, right? You learn from certain experiences, you learn from certain mistakes that you make, and you try and help yourself afterwards, or you try and see how you can fix it and how you can make it better. I think at the end of the day, what I've learned, whether it's speaking with boys and girls clubs, Title I schools, motivationally speaking, kids with are in juvie, kids that are in ISS, OSS, all different types of organizations, to where it can be extremely hard to motivate those young individuals, right? Of all of those programs that I just mentioned, it can be extremely hard to motivate any single one of those individuals because of where they come from, because of what they've endured in life, because of where they currently are, because of the mistakes that they've made. And it's kind of sometimes a lot of those kids say, well, what the heck is this guy going to tell me that's going to make me feel better?
Right.
Right. And I think me having the opportunity to be involved in so many places of that, of those programs within the community has given me a better outlook on if I am able to impact one out of those 100 kids that was in that room,
Mhm.
then I've done my job. And that's kind of where I kind of use that experience and kind of use that mentality to where, okay, if I'm mentoring 5 kids a day, as long as one of those kids takes my message and is able to kind of really look at himself after that meeting and look at himself in the mirror and be like, I feel so much better about myself. I'm going to kill it tomorrow in tomorrow's game. I'm going to absolutely, you know, bury a PK if I have one or whatever it might be, and just kind of have that extra amount of confidence, then I know my job is done. And so I think that's definitely the mindset that I've had, and I think being involved in those programs throughout the longevity of my career kind of helped me realize that, right? And every place that you talk to, every motivational speaker that goes and speaks to a business or a corporation or it's a salesman, there's going to be some salesmen, there's going to be some business people within those organizations that are going to say, I could give two craps about what this guy has to say, right? But there are going to be people that do listen to that person and do take to heart and see how they can kind of transform their lives or transform their work ethic or transform their environment around them to think a different way. And I know that motivational speaker as well is probably thinking that's all I want. I don't need a standing ovation. I don't need the whole entire room to say, wow, you are amazing at what you do. All I need is one person. And that kind of goes towards what I talk to about players all the time. And all of my moments that I was rejected in my career, or all of my moments that I failed trials or that I went on tests and I absolutely failed them, right, of trying out for teams or whatever it may be. It didn't take a village to tell me that Greg Garza was a good player, right? It just took one person to believe in me. And that's kind of the mindset that you have to have. And I think in today's world, so many kids deal with that self-acceptance of, well, all of these coaches have to say I'm a good player. All of these people have to say I'm a good player. I don't want to be criticized. I don't want to be criticized more than I'm praised. And kind of helping them understand of what Mike always says, that life is not fair.
Right.
And you will be criticized much more than you are praised, especially if you want to do soccer for the rest of your life. But that's what comes with what you love. And as long as you realize and believe and have faith in your own ability and realize that there are going to be people that do enjoy, whether it is your play or whether it is your speech or whatever it may be. That's kind of the mindset I have through mentoring and keeping that motivation for myself.
Greg Garza, Beyond Goals Mentoring at BG Mentoring on the Twitters, hanging out with us for the Friday Free Kick, as he and Michael do at 9:30 every Friday morning. When you have your conversations with your mentees, is there one particular element in your life, whether it's professional, personal, whatever, when you're talking to your mentees, that hits home more than any other when you're talking about life with your mentees? What seems to be the most impactful thing in your life that you bring to the table that helps your mentees out?
Excuse me. I would say probably helping them understand rejection, helping them understand failure, is a part of not only life but a player's story, that every player can sit on a podcast, sit on an interview, or just speak to anyone in general and tell you that they have failed multiple times, in their career, right? Whether it be a wrong decision that they made, whether it be a business transaction that went wrong within the light of line of soccer, or we were getting traded or whatever it might be. There's so many failure moments that are in my career, whether it be dealing with injury, dealing with adversity, dealing with the lowest of low moments and still finding a way to climb yourself back up. Those are the moments that I think that resonate most with the kids, because most of them have not been there yet. Most of them have endured some sort of moment of resilience, but not something that has been major. And kind of helping them and giving them a standard to look to say, holy crap, this guy's been through a lot,
Yeah.
and he was still successful. Wow, that's pretty cool, and so I think that they understand, and they kind of take that and look at it and say, okay, if that comes along in my youth career, if in my professional career, whether I'm have a corporate job or whether I'm playing soccer, I'm going to know how to handle it, and I'm going to know how to get through it. And those are probably the moments that kind of resonate the most and sit well with most of the kids.
Is there one moment in your life/career that still resonates with you that is a driving force one way or the other?
Yeah, most definitely. I think just looking back at the peak of my career, right? In 2015, I had just gotten on loan with a buyout clause of, I think $2 million with Atlas, and it was my biggest contract that I had ever signed. I was a starter on the national team. I was just about to go to Copa America, and my body just started to crumble on me, and understanding that, okay, well, I'm gonna have to make a pretty big and decision to where I had teams from championship watching me, I had teams from Italy watching me, teams from Holland, from Belgium, and thinking I was gonna make the move back to Europe, and then all of a sudden kind of get my hip surgery, and be out of the game for about a year and 2 months. And so to be at the highest peak of my career and then just to go all the way down, it really sucked. And that's the best word I can always give the kids, is that life sucked in that moment. Understanding that my recovery was, I didn't just do one side of my hip, I did both hips, and I did sports hernia surgery, which was just like a C-section cut all across my the front part of my pelvis. And uh, being in a wheelchair for the first few weeks and a month, and then being bedridden for the first 3 weeks and not really be able to do much, and then from there, essentially learning how to walk again in a pool. Right, you're learning how to take step by step. You're not just getting up and regularly walking and running and jogging and back to it. But I was essentially learning how to make step by step, ever beyond thinking I was going to ever see the field again at that point, right? Thinking, okay, well, if I got to learn how to walk again, how the hell am I going to kick a soccer ball? And then, all those things happen for a reason, and having the ability to kind of get back to where I wanted to be. And I think, I'm a huge believer in God, and a huge believer that, all is written and everything kind of happens for a reason. And God placed certain people in my life within those moments to kind of guide me along the way. And being in Mexico and being in a different, environment, and maybe at that moment, not really having too many people to kind of guide me along the way. And I had the ability to have, this guy is Carlos Peçanha, who is a Brazilian, but works with the Mexican national team. He's the head physio for the Mexican national team, if you ever watched the Mexican national team play. But he was with Piojo Herrera, which had absolutely no interest in me when I came back to Cholos, because he had his team set. But Carlos Peçanha was the head physio, and he brought him along. And I got to work with him for that whole entire year. And if I did not have him in my career at that set point, I probably wouldn't have ever come back to play the game of soccer. And it was, I just look back at that and I say, and I'm forever grateful for that guy. We still talk till this day, because I'm sure I'm probably one of those guys that he looks back in his career and says, and probably one of the most gratifying moments of his career as a physio, and say, how the hell did I get that guy back on the field? And what did I do? And that probably gives him hope for other people that go through the exact same thing, or for other people that go through even much worse, is that I can use him as a reference. I can use him as an example of saying, I was able to get that guy back on the field. I'll be able to get you back on the field. And, it's you look at moments, and I think most gratifying moments in my career is making it back, being able to get this, unimaginary loan to Atlanta United to kind of revive my career and kind of just give it one more shot of playing the beautiful game again and having the ability to even play soccer again. And then within the first year, making the All-Star team, and the second year winning the MLS Cup. So, looking at those moments and then taking those moments and using it with Minties, it's those for me, beyond any other moment within my career, just show, what you've gone as a pro, what you endure, lowest of low moments, but always finding a way to climb back up the ladder, and making things happen. I see one of the comments, I will not be there for the AmFam Cup, but I will be there for the home opener. So I will be actually at the backyard at the Home Depot. I have an appearance, so if anybody wants to come say hi, I'm pretty sure I'll be there. I might have to check.
Okay, so Bernd is asking now, what would your advice be to George Bello? He's stuck as a backup in Bundesliga B, dropped from the national team, etc. If you could sit down with George Bello right now, with everything that George is going through and not going through by not playing a whole lot right now, and stuck in a situation where it could be a double relegation.
I know, yeah.
With what's going on, what would you tell George?
Yeah, you see, and he's not the only one. You see Gianluca Busio as well, right? Another guy. Venezia is for sure going to go down to the third tier in Italy as well. It's so difficult for those guys that have, made their jump to Europe at essentially, I guess, the right time, right? I think it was George's perfect time to go because, I think once you make a name for yourself, you kind of try and make that jump as quickly as possible into the best situation. You look at Ricardo Pepi as well, who kind of dealt with the exact same thing, and now seems to be doing all right, right? But those are part of football moments, right? Those are part of what you sign up for. You never know what's going to happen. You just got to continue to work and trust your own process, right? And that's one thing that I talk a lot with a lot of my mentees that are playing at a high level, right? And it even be with kids that are in MLS academies, right? You want to trust their process in developing you as the best player that you can be, and that is true, right? But at the end of the day, you have to trust your own process as well. And your own process is making sure that you can do everything within your benefit and your ability to be best prepared for whatever is to come for tomorrow. Because none of us know what tomorrow brings as a professional athlete. None of us knows what tomorrow brings as someone who is playing at a very high level. But you do have the ability and you do have the choice to work every single day to be prepared for what's next. And that would be my biggest and best advice for those guys, is to, even if you're not playing, even if you're not seeing the field, even if you are the backup, or even if you're in second or third Bundesliga, it does not matter. Continue to work for what's exactly right in front of you, because there might be a moment to where there might be an opportunity for you to grab onto, and you have to know how to hold on to it. And so I would say just being best prepared, even when you're dealing with those trials and tribulations, and kind of dealing with those adverse moments, to stay cool and calm, and continue to work towards whatever tomorrow might bring, because he might have a transfer opportunity at one point. And if anybody, clubs talk, right? Directors, GMs talk. And if somebody goes up and asks, hey, how's George Bello doing right now, even though he's not playing, and they say, freaking worst attitude I've ever seen, guy doesn't play and he's not showing up every single day. Well, guess what? You've now crushed those opportunities to get that transfer that maybe you were wanting. So if George Bello is still the first, if I were to talk to George Bello, I'd say still be the first one there every single day, and be the last one to leave every single day. Exaggerate in the extra. Do extra running, do extra gym, do extra wind bike, whatever it might be. Take extra ice baths. Show that you are not only the best player there, but the best pro. And that'll ultimately, there's going to be an opportunity for him to see better days and brighter days. But he's got to be ready for it.
Because you can't, what is it they say? You can't have there's no second chance to make a first impression.
Very true.
And if your attitude is negative and that black cloud and that aura is there, and yes, you're at practice, but you're just going through the motions, that rubs off on folks. And if somebody's knocking on your door, it's like, man, that guy, you're interested in that guy. He just kind of shows up, goes through the motions at practice, kicks the ball around at drills. He's out the door. You can tell he's checked out mentally. I can't sign off on him. I can't give him a good rec. On the other hand, if he is that first guy in, last guy to leave, if he is that guy that is busting as you know what, that's going to rub off just as much. And if someone's knocking on your door, even if you're not getting the playing time, you still can make those kinds of impressions on folks that might have an interest in you.
Most definitely. And you said it perfectly, right? I always tell my mentees it's all about the first impression that you give and the last impression that you leave, right? The first impression that you give ultimately plans out everything that you're going to, endure or go through throughout the season, throughout the years that you're going to be there, whatever it may be. And the last impression that you leave ultimately leaves those doors open because you never know when you see that person again. You might see that GM, you might see that director, you might see that coach at another club. And, the world of soccer is a very small one if you really think about it. So always using those as best examples are extremely important in today's world.
All right, what's the latest with Beyond Goals? I know that high school soccer season is in full. It is in full song. We've got our games tonight at El Clasico up in Gainesville. You've been talking to folks. What's going on at Beyond Goals?
Sweet. We have been keeping busy with so many high schools. If anybody knows any high schools that they would love for us to come chat to, let us know. We're always on the reach out, and we're always trying to create that outreach and build that bridge to kind of keep a lot of the kids in check and keep them responsible and help them understand that not only how they carry themselves on the field but off the field is extremely important. The decisions that they make, and a lot of things coincide and correlate with being successful, not only as an individual and collectively, but also outside the game of soccer. So within school as well. So it's been awesome to connect with so many high schools, to continue to grow the game individually, to continue to grow the game within group sessions, and continue just to grow beyond goals, in which what we think is an extremely important asset in addition to a lot of people out there.
Caught up with Darlington Nagby the other day. You caught up with Atlanta driver Darlington Nagby. That will be fun.
That is it's funny because I think I was on my way home as well. I think he said they stopped him at a gas station, but I'm actually glad that they stopped him at a gas station because he was probably at McDonald's, a drive-through right before then. So picking up his daily Big Mac meal. So I don't know how that guy still had a 14 pack. But guy, he's one guy that we can't have on the show and to speak about nutrition.
No,
we have to speak about other things, because if it was nutrition, we'd probably ask, how in the world does this guy eat whatever the heck he wants and still is able to perform at such a high level? Yeah, exactly. But I know that's something we've also been implementing as well. I think we're super excited about that as well, as it's kind of to dive in the mindset of a lot of these players. Whether they're ex-teammates, whether they are guys who've been playing in the league for so long, and kind of help people understand that it's not only Mike and I that think certain ways, to kind of dive into their mindsets and see what guys that are currently playing, don't play anymore, what their takeaways from certain situations and how they dealt with certain situations within the game.
All right. We've gone added time with you on this Friday. Thanks again. Great to see you. As always, my friend, we will catch up with you soon. Your friends at Beyond Goals and the Friday Free Kick. Greg Garza, great to see you.
Thanks for always having me, bud. Take care.